Alrighty. I think we're ready to start. All right, let's do this. No Nut November is going well for me, by the way. I've been posting daily logs. They're probably a TMI. But I want you guys to know, keep it day by day, play by play, day by day. That makes sense. Makes sense to me. What I'm saying is every day, I'm letting you guys know, letting my boys know that I have not touched my own penis with my hand. Except for when I go use the bathroom, okay? When I pee. Actually, I don't even do that anymore. I just wherever it goes, okay? But like, it's a daily log, and I'm feeling really good. It's been 9 days for me. It would be 10 days if I started on November 1st, but November 1st, no, I got to be honest, I did not start there. I'm not going to get a perfect score here, all right? I mean, that's off the table. I already admitted that. I was honest with that right from the beginning. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my marriage. Doing this so I can be right with God. And it is a struggle, this whole No Nut November thing. You know, it's a huge struggle because the urge is there. You know, I've been addicted to adult material for a long time. I'm still feeling the effects in some ways, but in other ways, it's like so much better. I'm seeing it for what it is. I'm seeing that stuff for how sick it really is. The reason why I have Alexis text on the thumbnail, by the way, is because she needs Jesus. And besides, I'm letting you guys know, don't be afraid of it. I like the message that I want to put out there is don't be afraid of the adult material like a vampire to a cross. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know it's there. But you need to build your strength and resolve to be able to look at that stuff and be like, I don't need that. I don't want that. And I find it to be sick and disgusting. What I see are people who are engaging in very animalistic urges, carnal urges. What I see are people who have succumbed to desire and have put flesh above spirit when spirit should be above flesh. Okay? That's how it should be. That's how it should be for your soul. Yeah, 100%. That's what I truly believe, by the way. So we're talking about this. All right? I want you guys to know that 9 days in, how am I feeling? Well, feeling pretty good. The urge to like chronically fap has gone. Like I'll say, Day 7 was really tough for me. Day 7, I was wanting to just give in. I was wanting to just, let's fire up a compilation of just gooner material. Let's go hardcore. Let's just put on one of those hour-long compilation things and let it play. Lock myself in the bathroom with a lot of lube and just go to town. Just go to town. And just admit that I am a failure and all that. But that was there. That voice was there. But I told that voice, no, you're not winning on this one. No. I have heard you before. I've done what you said before, thinking it was going to be good. And time again, I'm left with disappointment and self-loathing. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for you. That's what I'm saying. Bros, No Nut November is not just for me. It's for us. We got to be strong together. We're no longer jerking off. Okay? Look, I'm a married man. I'm not saying sex is off the table for me. It's the benefit of being married. That's one of the things that, in a way, this is going to improve my life. But I was honest with that, right? Right from the beginning. Where's my thing? I'm no longer going to masturbate. No longer going to jerk off. No longer going to look at porn. But marital sex is on the table because that's close to godliness. That's what God intended. God wants you to have marital sex, lots of marital sex. God wants you to have unprotected marital sex and have all sorts of babies. Depends on how sacred the sperm is, depending on how you look at it. I'm a Protestant, so it's not that sacred, but it's kind of sacred. And I tell you what, I told my wife about this journey. I'm telling you, like, you think things are bits, but things are real for me, okay? It's not really a bit. I lived through it. When I told my wife that I had this chronic addiction to porn and masturbating, she was kind of grossed out, actually. She was like, what? Like, yeah, for like, I'm 40, I'm 41, for about, do some math here, about 26 years of my life, I've been chronically masturbating just about every day. I masturbate at least once a day. At least once a day. Usually in the morning. Crank it up. Get it started. Okay? My wife was like, that is quite a bit. Do you need help? I was like, who do I go to for that? If I go see a therapist, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? No. That's too much. It's like I have to do this like the way that makes sense to me. And it's with God, and it's with y'all, my bros, and with her, my wife. I got to say, the no porn thing, doing great. Doing fantastic. Like, you go 10 days without it, and let's say you're an addict like myself, you're constantly looking at the material, 10 days without it, like, dude, the brain fog is starting to dissipate. I'm starting to think for myself. I'm like, that there's an inner voice I haven't heard in a while, okay? I'm feeling good, man. There's like a happiness on me that's like, dude, I feel like I'm feeling like my authentic self, man. I really am. I mean, when you look at this smile, like, you think I'm BSing you? Like, what's going on? Like, I am feeling like a glow is on me, okay? Like, I'm glowing now, all right? There's a glow on me, and all I did was about, 9-10 days, no porn and no masturbating. So, if you want this heavenly glow, you got to follow this journey. You got to do it too, okay? That's what this channel is about now. That's what I'm advocating for, okay? I'm an activist. I'm an activist now. All right, I'm activist for trying to help my bros, man. You're one of my bros. You didn't know that. But this aura, I know you want this aura, this glow. That's what you got to do. Just cut the porn. Just cut it out. You don't need it. You don't need it. Now, of course, it's easy for me. I'm a married man. I should not have succumbed to porn since I've been married. So, like, because to do that, the Bible says that's like adultery. So I've committed adultery many times by just looking at porn, and that's not good. That could be a problem. So you got to be right with that. So cut that stuff out. And what I used to tell myself was like this little lie. Okay? This little lie, like, I need to chronically masturbate so that way I'll be desensitized. That way when I do make sweet love with my wife, I last longer. Don't even need that. 10 days, or 9 days, right? 9 days? I found so far that if you just cut that out and the only time you ejaculate is when you're having marital sex with your wife, like, you don't have to worry about how long you're going to last. You will last long. And when you come, it's good. It's going to be the best thing you ever experience. It's like, oh, Whoa! Whoa! It is though. It is. It is. I'm being real. I'm being real. I'm being so real. It might be too real. I like I'm trying to revive this channel when it's kind of dead. Dead man. I know nothing adventures. All right. So I shared with you my story, where I'm at. Now, we're going to do this together. We're going to watch some stuff. We're going to educate ourselves about the know nothing thing. And then I also want to talk about Alexis Taxes. She needs Jesus. She does. I mean, no, we could do that. We could do that right now, actually. Let's do that. Let's go put this on the screen. Alexis Texas. She is a popular adult star. Net worth $3 million. $3 million from taking large dicks up her butt. Lots of them at the same time. I think 2 at the same time, I think. Like, I'm telling you, the reason I'm talking about this is because I don't want you to be like, oh, you got to ignore this stuff. No, I want you to be able to be strong, to build that resolve, right? Become strong. Be able to look at this and be like, yes. But you say 3 million. You say this person made millions doing this kind of work. Okay. That's 3 million for rolling in sin, for basking in it. And she was married at one point. She's not married anymore. She chose a non-married life because I think, well, I mean, the money has This is hard to do because they say don't judge, right? They say he without sin judge, and I have sin. I have lots of it. I'm not gonna pretend like I don't have any sin, but I'm gonna say this: was the 3 million worth it? Was it worth it? Was it? Alexis, Texas, born on a military base in Panama. That's her early days. In 2006, Texas made her adult debut in the scene with Jack Venice. I don't know who that is. Why would I know who that is? Let's see. She has over 400 videos? That's a lot. 400 videos. 400 videos. That's quite excessive. You know, that's a lot of that. We're talking about, and they said that she has awards too. Like, look at this. Where was it? Her website won. Apparently, she has a website won the XBiz Award for Performer Site of the Year, while Texas herself was nominated for the XBiz and AVN Award for Female Performer of the Year. Moreover, her film Alexis Texas is Butt Woman won the XRCO Award for Best Gonzo Release. They're celebrating and awarding people for producing this content in this industry that exists, that kind of flourishes from exploitation, you know? And I see it for what it is now. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, you participate in this industry. You're making lots of money in it. You have lots of awards. I'm sure there's lots of other talent women that get involved in this that are left with very few options but to do that for money, right? But it's like, couldn't they do something else? Were there other options? Is that the only thing that they could do? Okay. And then at the same time, there's very shady things that happen in this industry. And it kind of is allowed to happen in the shadows, or sometimes even in the light. Sometimes there's stars that they themselves are not the age they say they are. Okay. And which would be a lot of issues, right? And there's a lot of coercion going on. So it's like, okay, I'm seeing this as the devil's playground. And on the devil's playground, they're awarding each other for how sinful they could be. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything to do with that. Done with that. Like, and look at this. Gross. Hideous face. Like, that is someone who lost her soul. Right? Look at that. There's no soul there. Let's make that bigger. No soul. It's gone. She sucked many dicks. More like those dicks sucked the soul out of her, though. All right? But that's me being cruel. Okay? I think... Yeah, that's all I can say there. What I'm saying is, don't be afraid of that stuff. All right? Some people say you're supposed to hate it, but you're supposed to hate the devil. You're supposed to hate the devil. I don't hate the devil. The devil is what the devil is. Okay? I don't have time for hate. Hate is a lot. To hate something, for me anyway, to hate something is to really spend a lot of thought on it. To hate something, like when you hate something. Let's say when you hate watch Ethan Ralph, right? You spend stream after stream after stream watching that guy. You're consumed by him. He's more like controlling you than you are controlling him. Is your hate watching him? I don't have time for hate. Not for the devil. My brooches, I don't even have time for the devil. Not going to make time for him. Why? Why do that? Okay. Now, I have a few videos we could check out. Let's do this now. Does science support No Nut November? Let's see what this urologist has to say. Her name is Rena Malik. Let's check this out.
You know what month it is? It's technically No Nut November. I'm Dr. Rena Malik, urologist and pelvic surgeon, and I'm finally going to talk to you guys about No Nut November, or semen retention. If you're new here, I talk about all sorts of things: sexual health, urologic health, bladder health, and much more. Make sure if you like what you see, you subscribe and share this channel.
Butter health? Like butt health? Okay.
With your friends.
Okay, I'm gonna skip this. It's loud. Skip this.
Well, it's a practice of avoiding ejaculation for the whole month of November. Not to be confused by NoFap. NoFap is actually a website that offers resources and a community for people who are struggling with porn.
Look. But if you're a married man, there's understandable things that you could do with No Nut November. Okay. Marital sex is what God intended, so that's allowed. Chronically masturbating is not what God intended. That's not allowed. Ejaculating in a sock or on the floor is not allowed. Like on No Nut November, every time you ejaculate, it must be inside a pussy, inside a vagina. It has to be. Not even in an ass. Okay? God did not intend that. God wanted you to ejaculate in a vagina. Okay? It has to be like that. That's what it's for. All right? Then gay guys can't really participate in this because they're gay, and gay is the ultimate betrayal to God. I'm just gonna say that. You know, there's people that call me Snake Man. The biggest snake you can be is to be a man and be gay, and because that is a snaking on what God intended. Okay, you snaked on God. Okay. I just wanted to put that out there.
Porn addiction. They do talk about
I got that from the Bible, by the way.
abstinence for some short period of time from certain types of sexual activities, but avoidance of certain types of sexual activities or porn watching is part of their philosophy or what they recommend as far as resources are concerned, but that is not what they are all about. They are essentially trying to help men improve their sexual well-being. So how did this even come about? Well, it's been around for a long period of time. In fact, ancient Taoist literature discussed semen retention as a way of self-control. They believed that ejaculating.
I'm going to bet this lady is going to say no, and say that the science does not support it, and she's going to try to encourage us to ejaculate even more. Like, this is the... I think so. I think that's what she's going to say.
Dating was actually losing control of oneself, and keeping it in, or semen retention, was actually a way to improve health and control of your body. Proponents of semen retention say there are so many benefits to having increased mental clarity, increased concentration, having better quality sperm, increased testosterone, deeper and happier relationships, and so much more. But is it backed by science? Is doing this safe, or can it potentially harm you? Make sure you stick around till the end of the video where I talk about my thoughts on semen retention.
But your video is like 8 minutes long. Just tell me now. Just tell me now. That freeze frame is really good. Yeah. Okay. Well, she definitely has a face that could be a canvas for lots of semen. That's like, I see this. I'm like, is this a bukkake video? Are we watching a bukkake?
The interesting thing about semen retention is it's actually, in this specific No Nut November, is recommended not to ejaculate. That is very distinct from not having an orgasm. So people will start and try to have orgasms without ejaculating during this process. So they'll do things like edging, which is essentially the stop and start technique that we talk about for premature ejaculation.
See, I'm not doing that.
Or they will do
Pause. No edging. No edging. Okay. No masturbating. Okay? There's none of that. None of that is happening.
Try to force retrograde ejaculation by pushing on the perineum and forcing ejaculate to go back into the bladder. People feel that this allows them to have better orgasms and potentially multiple orgasms and longer sexual stamina. So I'm going to talk a bit about the small amount of data that we have on this practice. And then after that, I'll talk about a little bit about the potential harms associated.
Put it this way. Remember your first time? Remember when you were a virgin? You might be a virgin now. I have no idea. Hopefully you're not. But remember your first time? Well, I probably went quick. You were also very quick to go again. It's kind of like that because you have so much semen backed up in you. Like you're backed up for like ages, okay? And you're just ready to go. That's what it is, man. Your body wants that out, okay? You're supposed to shoot that out in loads, man. But in vaginas, though, okay? As God intended.
Associated with semen retention. First, let's talk about the thought that it increases testosterone. So this is a very small study that was done on 10 men in the ages of 22 to 29. And what they did was they had these men on day 0 watch a film. And the film was the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes were like a emotionally neutral documentary. In the middle 20 minutes, they showed them pornographic material. And they encouraged them or asked them to masturbate and orgasm. They then had them abstain for 21 days from...
These jump cuts are telling me she didn't remember this material and had to read it again, go over notes.
any sort of ejaculation. On the 21st day, they again showed them the same video. During
another
these
jump cut.
videos,
every time there's a jump cut, you got to ask, what was she doing in between? Why was there a jump cut? Why didn't she just remember what she was going to talk about? You can't remember what she's going to talk about? She needs a bunch of notes and stuff? Pfft. Show notes? Pfft. PowerPoint slides? Pfft. You don't need that. All right? If it's truly in the heart, truly that important, you just talk it, okay? Throw that script in the trash. Maybe she's taking a personal Me Too time during that. I mean, look, her hair, let's see if there's any difference in her hair. I'm saying is maybe she's taking time to doing stuff for herself. Maybe I'm going too far on that one here. But well, we'll see.
They monitored their heart rate and blood pressure continuously, and they also measured some blood levels for every 10 minutes, and the whole process took about an hour. They also asked people to fill out questionnaires about how sexually aroused they were and the quality of their orgasm, like how intense was it, how long was it, and they captured all that information. What they found was that this period of 21 days of abstinence didn't affect any of the physiologic changes that we expect to see during
You couldn't remember physiological. Okay.
arousal and masturbation, orgasm. All those remained the same.
I think every time she talks about masturbating, it turns her on, and we have these jump cuts because she has to fap herself. All right, she's getting turned on by the idea of men just ejaculating.
They did find, however, that people had better sexual arousal, subjectively felt like they were more aroused, and had longer duration and more intense orgasms after that period of abstinence.
Yeah,
they
of
also
course.
saw that starting at 20 minutes, that if you look at baseline levels of testosterone, that they actually increased from the 20-minute mark onward during that second period after they had abstained from intercourse or ejaculation for 21 days. You can see that clearly here in this graph, but does that even...
Whoa. Testosterone measured. All right, so you have the control here. I guess C is controlled. But they have higher testosterone there. Versus the non-controlled. Huh. Let me hear what she said again.
Saw that starting at 20 minutes, that if you look at baseline levels of testosterone, that they actually increased from the 20-minute mark onward during that second period after they had abstained from intercourse or ejaculation for 21 days. You can see that clearly here in this graph, but does that even make a big difference?
So, yeah, okay, so it did increase here, but I'm curious about the control group being higher than them, and what's going on with the control? Like, explain that more. Or I want to find this. I hope she explains that, because it's like, let me find this study. Let me read it myself.
Difference. The thought behind why this happened is that these people probably were more aroused or more enhanced after having these anticipatory cues of the video that was coming, the pornographic material, and they got excited more so because they had been abstinent for 20 days. What about sperm quality? Well, there's one meta-analysis that looked at
Don't worry, she tested the sperm quality herself.
at this. All of the studies that were included needed to look at men who were dropping off a semen analysis after a certain period of time during which they were abstinent, and they were required to document how long that was. And there were two things that they found that increased with longer abstinence or greater than 5 days of abstinence, and that was sperm count and semen volume. The semen volume was studied in 17 studies, and out of those 17 studies, 15 found a significant correlation of increasing abstinence time with an increase in volume, and in 11 studies that looked at sperm count, 100% of them saw an increase in sperm count after abstinence. So generally, what do I take away from this? Well, this testosterone study was really on a small number of people and very young, healthy men. So will it apply to everybody? I'm not really sure. As far as sperm parameters, we know that holding off for a couple days is actually recommended in men who are infertile. We actually recommend that during the ovulatory period, when you're trying to conceive, that you have sex every 2 days rather than doing it every day, because sperm parameters do increase when you have a little bit of delayed time between ejaculations. So what do I think about semen retention or
What do you
No
think
Nut
about semen
November?
retention, Doc?
Well, I think if you're getting benefits from participating in No Nut November, like you're feeling more clear, you're having deeper relationships, you're feeling like you're more excited about being with your partner, and you're getting more clarity, that's great. Go ahead and do it. Not ejaculating doesn't have any harmful consequences that we know of. Your body will essentially resorb the semen that you don't ejaculate out, and so it's not a problem if you haven't ejaculated for a certain period of time. However, there are some concerns that I do have. One is
What are these concerns now?
that when you're going through this process, if you're trying to really focus on having orgasms without ejaculation, you can get very fixated on that prospect. You can get very fixated on edging, and it can be very hard to have a relationship, a very meaningful, important sexual relationship with a partner because you're very fixated on yourself. It can also cause a lot of stress and anxiety to go through No Nut November. As I mentioned in my previous video on masturbation, there's a number of...
That's why as a married man, it's easy for me. It's super easy. I guess if you had a girlfriend, a serious girlfriends, they're probably not going to want you to nut on them. But during that time, I would advocate that you do. But you tell them, of course, hey, it's No Nut November. The only time I can nut is if I nut inside a vagina. That's what God intended. And there you go.
Benefits to masturbation, including better sleep, decreased heart rate, decreased stress, and a lot of increase in feel-good hormones. The other thing that I worry about is that people can get a lot of pain and discomfort in their pelvic floor or their testicles. A lot of you guys have heard of blue balls. In fact, there's very little data on this in the scientific literature, but it's called epididymal hypertension. And the reason being is that during arousal, you get increased blood flow to the testicles as well as everything.
That's right. That means you have to go, and it hurts. So it's cruel for your girlfriend or fiance or wife to be like, no, I don't want to do anything. It's like, no, I'm ready to go. What do you mean it's cruel? What do you mean you're not in the mood? We're going.
Else, and usually that's decreased after you ejaculate. But if you don't ejaculate, that increased pressure stays around and can be what we perceive as, or what men perceive as, blue balls. And for some people, that can be quite painful.
It can be. That's why, man, when women like to tease you like that, they're hurting you. They know it too. They know it. They could see it in your eyes. They could see the pain. Women are good at seeing that. Some of them get off on that. All right. Some women get off on that. That's how you find someone who has the baseline for a good dominatrix. If you want to mold someone to become a dominatrix like that, you kind of look for that sign there.
And it can last for quite a bit
of
period.
That's not very godly. It's like, no, it's not. Actually, you're right. It would not be godly. It would be godly for the man to have just marital sex with. Okay, if you're not married, well, just fuck. And you have babies. Get married first. No.
Of time. We also sometimes see men who have elevated pelvic floor tone in men who don't masturbate or don't ejaculate for long periods of time because they're building up all this stress and tension in their pelvic floor that can result in pain. And while there's no data on this, we'll sometimes recommend that these men masturbate 2 or 3 times a week just to help with that pain. So I think if you're going to try to participate, a much healthier option is actually to go no FAP, to avoid pornography, which has a lot of...
Yes, for sure.
Potentially dangerous side effects. If you're watching violent porn or porn that's not realistic, it can actually really affect your brain and the way you perceive sex and the way you have relationships with other people. So if you want to try something...
Okay. Actually, her advice was pretty reasonable there. Rena Malik. Okay. Well, boys, No Nut November is real, okay? Like I said, I'm not just going through this for me. I'm going through this for us. No Nut November, okay? We're in it together. We're not nutting anymore unless it's with having sex with our wives or with our girlfriends or fiance or whatever, okay? If you're gay, like I said, you can't participate because that's I'm sorry, you broke an oath with God. That's not me saying it. That's God saying it, okay? I guess it's like, well, you're already banging dudes, which is not godly. So what does it matter? What does it matter what you do? All right. might go for some more here. I could probably do this video. Which would? Oh, will porn destroy your relationship and sex life? I'm going to go with yes, it will. Our Christian perspective on porn. Or on NoFap November. I'll probably go with this.
What do you think about porn use in relationships and in outside of relationships?
I think erotic material, whether we're talking about like very mainstream porn that's available for free online or paid pornography, written erotica, audio erotica, like there is a lot of benefit that can come from being able to access erotic media. Like,
wait, pause right there. I mean, the stuff you can find free online, the stuff that says, help me, step bro, I'm stuck. Help me, step mom, I'm stuck. That stuff has a benefit? What? Like the mainstream porn that you could find in ease that's free involves chicks taking two dicks in the ass at the same time. Getting her asshole blown out to the point to where it's gaping, where you can fit a grapefruit in that thing. Is that a benefit? Is there a benefit to that? I don't think there's a benefit to that.
human beings have had porn since human beings were human beings.
Yeah.
So this is nothing
No shit, Sherlock.
new. But the way that we have it so accessible to us today is definitely a recent development in our arc of humanity. So I think we could be a little bit more present and conscious with how we consume it, why we consume it, what we're getting out of it, how we make it. Mm-hmm. But porn will always reflect whatever.
Hey, John Schmidt. No nut means no nut. No nut means no nut. Yeah. But if you're married, you got to have marital sex with your wife. You got to. If you don't, well, it hurts the marriage. And the marriage fails, then you make God sad. There's a little bit more to it than that. But that's a simplified version. You got to be right with God on that. So, just that's the only time. But I think we might have to agree to disagree on that one, I suppose.
Whatever is in the collective unconscious of the zeitgeist. So what we see in porn is not porn's fault, right?
What?
It's our fault.
Because we want it.
Because we want it.
To some degree.
Exactly.
It's being watched, so they keep making it.
Exactly. Yeah. They're
That's so wild.
yeah. So I think
It's not their fault that they exploit these women and coerce them into situations and possibly literally film real raking going on and frame it as if it's like, consent and all that. No, it's not their fault they're doing it. It's our fault because we click on it. Are y'all hearing yourselves? Of course people are going to watch it. People are going to watch. People watch anything. People will watch beheading videos, like Faces of Death. Now a lot of them were fake, but I think the first one was real. But people will watch anything if it's put out there. Hell, I think I had an audience during the stream. One, people watch anything. No, how about you go like, no, the industry's kind of shady, like very shady. The industry is the devil's playground. Okay.
I think it's got lots of things that we could do better and learn from, and of course it has a lot of perks and benefits in relationships and outside of relationships.
Yeah, I think some of the things like porn is meant to be just entertainment. So some of the
No, I don't need to designate it anymore or specify it anymore. It's specified enough. All right, I've been clear in the videos about that.
those things are really probably not appropriate. Like there's a lot of like sibling intercourse porn and stuff. Like that's not appropriate, right? So we know that there's like genetic abnormalities when you have intercourse and have a baby with someone who's blood related. So that's the reason that's just not appropriate. And so those sorts of things are like, maybe it allows you to have a fantasy,
Exactly.
but not necessarily something you would ever act out.
Wait, what the?
Well, here's
Wait, are they saying that stuff is? What? What did I just hear?
I think some of the things like porn is meant to be just entertainment. So some of those things are really probably not appropriate. Like there's a lot of like sibling intercourse porn and stuff. Like that's not appropriate, right? So we know that there's like genetic abnormalities when you have intercourse and have a baby with someone who's blood related. So that's the reason that's just not appropriate.
They're pushing that stuff out there because they want to encourage people to engage in that stuff, because it's not a conspiracy, man. There's an effort to just encourage people more and more and more to become even more degenerate, to destroy the fabric of society. If they get these young people who are easily manipulated and they're really dumb into thinking, oh, it's cool to have this with my brother or sister or whatever, it's just going to create a society of gonna say retards. It will eventually. A lot of inbreds. Man. Okay. But I'm glad you're saying that stuff is not appropriate. Yeah. That stuff is not appropriate. But even making like it's a fantasy. No. There's some fantasies that you should not explore, okay? They're not meant to be explored. If you have that fantasy in your head, you are haunted by a demon. You got a demon in you. Got a demon. The devil has affected you, infected, and you should purge that out of your system.
And so those sorts of things are like, maybe it allows you to have a fantasy, but not necessarily something you would ever act out.
Well, here's a throwback to the conversation we were just having about fantasies, right? More often than not, people do not want to be sexual with their siblings or their step siblings or their step parent, which are very common themes.
Well, not the Thorpes. They love that stuff.
In mainstream porn. What they're actually really turned on by is the taboo of it all.
Yeah.
It's naughty. It's not supposed to be happening. So they're not even excited about the sibling sex. They're excited about the fact that it's something they shouldn't be watching.
Yeah. So interestingly, this comes up.
That's what she's saying is true about the whole like taboo of it. But that is a crazy thing to chase. You start chasing that taboo. Where does it lead? Oh, that is a slippery slope. I would imagine if you're chasing that, if that's your fix, if that's what you're looking for, you're going to go to some dark places. You're going to have a Vosh folder, probably, or something like that. I don't know. Pretty gross.
A lot in some groups I'm on with other, women my age who are in long-term relationships, and they look at
and they're the ones who brought this up. I'm like, this is the first thing they went to.
Porn as cheating. And I don't hold that viewpoint, but I think it's something you have to discuss with your partner. How do you deal with that when someone, maybe a couple, comes to you and...
Well, I could help you out there. What does the Bible say about lusting over another woman when you're married? Like you already committed the act. You might as well have cheated. You already committed the act in your mind. Now, I know you didn't actually do it. But what that's saying, though, is that if the opportunity presented itself, would you? Would you control yourself? Would you be able to? Here's the thing, man. God knows. God knows we are weak. A lot of us are very weak. And we'll succumb to our urges because we don't know how to balance and put the spirit over the flesh. Okay? If the flesh is over the spirit and you're letting those carnal desires run you, well, you're going to you're going to be in a bad situation. They're going to create bad situations for yourself. You'll end up cheating on your wife. Your wife will be mad, will divorce you. Your kids will hate you. Your wife will hate you. Your family will hate you. And they'll take half of everything you have. And all that could have been avoided. All that could have been avoided if you just left it in your pants. Also, afterlife-wise, whatever happens. Okay? At that point, I'm kind of like, that's between you and God. You got to make that right. But anyway.
One partner feels like porn is cheating, and then maybe the next step would be like going to a strip club is cheating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think every partnership has its own fidelity agreements. And when you're setting those fidelity agreements, it is really important to be curious about why something is like it would be dangerous to the partnership. Because I think a lot of the time we get into relationship and we expect the relationship to define us.
All right, for the 4 people watching, is porn cheating? Is watching porn cheating on your wife? Is watching hardcore pornography of an Asian woman getting dominated, getting pig roasted, is that cheating? That was very specific, though. Very descriptive.
Us in a certain way. And so when we conflate the health of our relationship with our identity or the way we believe ourselves to be viewed and seen in the world, that's when we start to get extra controlling around what's happening in that relationship. But I think there's a lot of merit to the concerns that some people have when their partner is distracted in the relationship by something else.
Yeah. See, that's why I really went on this journey for myself there. Not really for myself, but for my marriage, my relationship with my wife, because my porn addiction was out of control. It was out of control. Like, it was bad, real bad. Okay? I cannot start my day without looking at lots of booty and lots of pussy. Okay? Just needed to see it. Needed to see it get rammed.
Porn or going to strip clubs, and if they're not able to prioritize that intimacy in their partnership, then it does feel like a third that's getting in the way, and it's understandable. And I would have the same concerns if it were golf or if it were knitting or if it were watching Star Wars every Saturday. Like, what is...
Or spending a lot of time in a shed recording videos and doing a stream for 2 people. Hey, 2 guys, how's it going? Hey, it's my journey also to revive this channel eventually. To finally do stuff with it. I let this channel sit for a while. So we're gonna have some work to do.
Happening that your intimacy is getting deprioritized. What is that about? And I think when couples get to a place where they can understand that, then it is easier to make room for some things like porn or, other kinds of experiences that may have felt really threatening before.
Yeah. So I think really understanding why you find that threatening and why the other person is using it, and making space for like, okay, maybe it's not so, in some cases, maybe it's not so threatening to your relationship, but you have some insecurities about it. And other times, maybe it really is threatening because they're prioritizing that over being with you.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, what's going on here? Could we work a conspiracy on this? What's really going on here is Rena Malik is taking paychecks from the porn industry, so she wants to help find that balance. Or is she really being... I watched another video of hers recently. I think she's being reasonable, but I kind of wonder if she's really the devil in disguise.
That's really important. That comes up all the time.
It does.
It really does.
But I think that also reflects a lot of like purity culture values that a lot of folks take into relationship with them. Like, we are now responsible for each other's sexual well-being, and like that is a lot of pressure.
That's a lot,
and a lot of that's a lot of like confinement, and it's not realistic to police your partner's fantasies. In fact, it's really unhealthy.
Yeah, like what if they fantasize about someone else? It doesn't mean anything about your relationship.
It doesn't. No, I fantasize about
it could,
so many
though.
things.
What do you mean? It really could. It really could. Wait, if someone has fantasies about stuff, it doesn't mean anything about your relationship. Okay, let's play with that. Let's play with that with some scenarios here. If I start having fantasies of coworkers at work, and they're graphic fantasies, they're things that keep me up at night. I'm like, I get all like I'm really into these fantasies. I think that could be a problem, man. I think that could be an indication of something. If my wife were to experience that, or if, let's say you're in a relationship and your girlfriend starts having fantasies of her former boyfriend, that could be a problem. Or what if you're driving with your girl in the car, right? You think everything's good, and she turns around and be like, I have this fantasy. It's like, yeah, I want to do some freaky stuff. Freaky stuff? Yeah. I want two dudes at the same time. But like, whoa, what? You know? It's like, wait, what? Like, I think it could be a problem, man.
And so many people.
Yeah.
And my partner and I are able to talk about that, and we kind of laugh about it. And he does the same thing, you know?
Yeah. I think that's really important. And realizing like we don't expect our partners to be everything to us. Like we don't expect them to be our girlfriend that goes shopping with us. We don't expect our partner to be the person we gossip with. You know, like we have different people for different parts of life, and we have them for a part of our sexuality, but that doesn't mean that they have to be all of our sexuality.
Yeah.
What? Your partner should be all of your sexuality. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Your partner should be all of your sexuality. Man, if I run this detail by my wife, it'd be a problem. If you run this little detail by your girlfriend, it'd be a problem. Right? Wow.
And like looking at other people or watching pornography and maybe even going to a strip club may not be a negative thing for that person. It may just be an expression of their sexuality, but they still prioritize you and want you as their sexual partner, right? But again, realizing...
All right, I made a conclusion to my question. Rena Malik is an agent of the devil in disguise.
In your own relationship context, what that means for them is really important, because sometimes it could be that they're doing this and they prefer this over being with you, and then that's a problem.
Yeah, well, and it also can sometimes exacerbate like other dynamics going on in a relationship. Like
these are the sort of ladies that would make excuses for like cheating. Like that's what's happening here. Okay. Like these sort of therapists are the sort of therapists that will like, let's say you went to therapy, you went to couples therapy, and in that couples therapy, your girlfriend brought up that she was at a gangbang and had cheated on you on multiple partners at the same time, right? And you're like, what? I'm not having this. I can't have this. They're the sort of therapists that'll tell you not to be judgy about their sexuality and their expression of it. I'll be like, no, I'm going to be judgy about that. You did what? All right. Well, well, that's a good thing to know. A good thing not to, I don't believe in divorce either. You got to navigate that, right? Man, you got to quit that. You got to end that real fast, right? But these are the sort of therapists. They'll be in your head like that. They'll be like, oh, you don't understand. Don't judge her sexuality. So what if she had gangbangs? So what if she cheated on you with 5 other dudes at the same time and guzzled the gravy? Okay? So what? It's bad that you weren't there. How come you weren't there? How come you weren't the 6th guy? That's what they'll say.
If someone is watching a lot of porn or they're going to a strip club and they're coming home to their partner and they're saying, well, you don't do these things.
Yeah.
And you don't look like that. You know, that's really problematic behavior. And I would say, in fact, that it's not the strip club or the porn that is causing the problem. It's the partnership and the attitude there that is happening. Yeah. Right? The entitlement that's happening.
Do you think people can forgive a partner who's cheated?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that really enthusiastically. No, they can. It can take a lot of work, but yeah, I've seen a lot of partnerships not only survive infidelity, but become so much stronger and so much more connected because they've understood that the infidelity is a symptom of something, and they've been able to look at it and investigate it together and use it as fodder to grow closer.
Yeah. Do you think the
okay.
adage, once a cheater, always a cheater, do you think that's true?
Ooh, always a cheater. What's a cheater? Always a cheater. What did I say? What did I say? It's like there are situations that definitely happen for sure. That's so broad what I just said there. So general, like what I'm talking about. That's all like situational. It depends on the severity of it, what happened, but also depends on what you are willing to do. Are you willing to work it out? But then you have a huge, oh man, the trust was just destroyed with that, right? If there's infidelity in that relationship, the trust is gone. And to build back that trust, to earn it back, oh, good luck.
No, I think for some people, like there definitely is an ingrained expectation that they should be able to do whatever they want. There's a lot of entitlement for some folks, but that's not always the case, and that's not always what drives infidelity.
Like players and
so
stuff.
I think we have to look at people's intrapsychic organization as well as what's happening interpersonally. And
I'll be honest, man, I was a victim of this mentality. And I thought this way too. At one point. And what I found was that I was missing something. And what there was spending more time with the person I really love. Okay. It's like that. It's like you could get caught in things, distracted, and take away from the main priority. You really can.
And think about like the gestalt of who they are and who they are as partners.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I've actually seen some of my friends survive infidelity and have much stronger relationships for it. But it's interesting. Like I said, I'm in these groups where somebody will say, my partner cheated on me. Should I leave them or him or whatever? And the almost always gut reaction is yes from 90% of the people. And I think that can be really damaging sometimes because sometimes there's a lot there that's worth saving. Yeah. And I've heard you say this before, sex therapy is a lot cheaper than a divorce. This is sort of one of the places where you can use sex therapy, but what are...
A sex therapist. So they're helping them. They're helping them bang, pretty much.
Other flags or signs that people should be like, hey, you know what? We might benefit from sex therapy.
Yeah, well, I'm biased, obviously, right? Because this is what I do for a living. But I'm also such a champion of therapy in general. I think that therapy and sex therapy can be great proactive steps to take to really sit down, if you have the time and the resources to do it, of course. Not everyone does. But I think they can be really important proactive places to talk about these things. Because as you said earlier,
I needed therapy. I don't know I don't think I would go to a sex therapist. But that's where signs you need a sex therapist. Let's see if they could sell me on this.
We're not taught how to talk about sex. And a lot of folks go into their long-term partnerships with a lot of expectations about what sex should and should not look like. And I'm using those shoulds because they're often these scripts that don't really make much sense for their realities. So I think sex therapy is a great place for you and your partner to talk about, like, what do we want? What does sex mean to us? How do we negotiate it? How do we experience it? How can we develop it more? What are the dimensions of sex for us?
That's a lot of talking and overthinking instead of just doing. Like if that was something that was brought, if that was something your girl brought up to you, wouldn't you be like, man, that's a lot of overthinking about this. We could try different positions. We could bang more. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's cool. Yeah. Different locations. Okay. It's like
us. So that's one approach. But a lot of folks come to sex therapy because of infidelity, but also because their bodies aren't acting the way they want them to. So erectile dysfunction or early ejaculation or a difficult time with having an orgasm or a delayed orgasm, pain during penetration or sex. So I think it can be a place to address a concern. It can also be...
Those are concerns I've never had.
A place to become more expansive. So a lot of folks start out in sex therapy because they want to get kinky. They don't know what it means about them. It doesn't mean anything about you, by the way. It's just something you want to try, and that's great.
It's just play.
Just play. It means that you're
like, okay, so I'm not really sold that I would ever need that. Okay. If that ever came up in my relationship, I'd be like, well, yeah, a lot of talking. Let's just do. Okay. And to be realistic, this is something that, like, obviously couples do talk about, sex stuff. Of course, that comes up. It should come up. And, you got to establish boundaries, got to establish kind of like what's good, what's a good areas and what's not good and all that stuff. Okay. And, you got to work that stuff out there. And then, after all that talk, you kind of just, do what you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, okay. But I guess some people have severe issues that I've not had to worry about erectile dysfunction. It's like, well, I don't want to tell you, man. There's Blue Chew, I think, right? And then there's hey, I tell you what, man. How about you start getting close to her and really smelling her? You know what I'm saying? The pheromones should get you hard alone. But that's just me talking. I'm just a basic dude, man. Yeah. I think I got what I needed from these devils in disguise. I am sold that they're that they definitely advocate for porn. So it sounds like they would say like a moderate use of it. They definitely do have the door open to allowing things that would could be issues down the line. But anyway, to bring this back to the beginning, what this is all about here is the journey, the no nut journey. You gotta ask yourself, like, why is it important? I guess really my journey is no fat, but either way, for me it's important because I want to be right with myself. I want to stop the porn addiction and the chronically masturbating, which I've been honest with you guys about how often it was quite bad. It was very detailed. I did a stream before, and it got very detailed. Okay, and so I want to do right with myself on that. I want to do right with my wife on that, and I want to do right with God. I'm not a very religious man. My beliefs in God. We gotta walk through that on another stream. There's been too much sex on this stream. Not to say that sex is not godly. It can be. I mean, that's how you make babies. And creating life is godly. So, I'll just say for now to sum it up. I have a troubled relationship with God. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe that He's my Lord and Savior. I am a Protestant. I do go to church every now and then. Not as much. I pray, and I believe in it. believe in prayer. And there's things that we could probably explore later on that topic, though, for a future stream. But yeah, so I want to do right for myself, for my wife, and with God. The three things. Okay? So, yeah. And then, I've been feeling great. This journey has been good. It was rocky. I'm on day 9. I started on November 2nd. So, I got a lot more days ahead of me, but I think it'll work. Especially the no porn thing. Okay. Well, with that said, that's pretty much it, man. Kind of wrapped up this stream. Quick hour. John, you take it easy, man. Have a good one. And, yeah, I think we learned something here today.